Hey everyone, and welcome to today's cooking video. So today I wanted to do a bit of a baking, and I thought I would film it for you guys and show you 4 of my favorite snacks to have at the moment. A few of these recipes I tested late last year, and I've also tested some this year, so I'm really happy with how they all are, and I think you guys will really like them. So in this video we have got avocado brownies, and you may think that is disgusting and avocado shouldn't be in brownies, but it's just used as a source of healthy fat, and honestly you can't even taste it, you can't see it, and they're just so good. So trust me, you'll see. I've also got some chocolate chip muffins, some yogurt bark, which is something I've never made before and I thought I'd give it a try, and also some protein balls. So all of these recipes are pretty versatile. You can kind of change them up to your specific likings. I will have all of the details in the description just to make it more helpful. If you're going to make it later on, you don't need to go back and write everything down. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys some healthy recipe ideas for 2022. And another positive is that they can all be taken on the go to somewhere like school, work, all that sort of stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off by making the yogurt bark first. So for this one, you're going to need 1 whole mango, a yogurt of your choice. I use YoPro because there's no added sugar and it's low in fat as well and high in protein. I also use just some leftover vegan chocolate chip, and lastly some pumpkin seeds, but you can really put in whatever you have in the pantry, like some nuts or coconut or anything like that. So firstly, you want to add 2 whole cups of your yogurt of choice into a mixing bowl. Make sure the bowl is large enough that you'll be able to, stir it around and not have things fly out the sides. I forgot to mention before, I also added in a tablespoon of rice malt syrup. This just gives it an extra sweetness, but it's totally optional, and you can use another sweetener of choice if you want. And so I just mix this around, and then you can go ahead and cut your mango. And so you want to cut this one into really small cubes. So I did about, I think it was 6 by 6 on either of the cheeks. And yeah, this just makes it like easier to set, so you don't have these massive clunks of mango. But up to you and your preference. And so then I folded them out and got ready to put them into the yogurt. When I was scraping it out, I kind of cut them in half because, as you can see, some of the chunks are quite long. I just wanted them to be pretty small. So yeah, go ahead and do this. You also can add any other fruit you want, really. I just chose to do mango because it's mango season and I absolutely love mangoes. They're probably one of my favorite fruits. And then I just went and mixed that in and tried to mix it evenly. And then you want to add in your pumpkin seeds. You can also just add in, as I said before, any sort of ingredients you've got around the house that could go well in this, and also added in the sugar-free vegan chocolate chips. These are just some leftovers from other recipes that I used. So it's just this is just a really great recipe to just use up some old ingredients that you've got and turn it into something really nice and healthy. And then so I lined a baking tray and spread it out. It was probably about 1.5 centimeters thick. You can make it thinner. And yeah, I just tried to spread it out as evenly as I could. But it doesn't really matter because when you break it up, it isn't meant to be a regular shape. So yeah, once you spread it out, you're going to need to leave it in the freezer for about 4 hours or overnight, up to you. And then just cut it up into whatever sort of shape you want. And that's pretty much it. It's honestly such a tasty, light, and super versatile recipe that you can make. It's just something really easy that you can just grab out of the freezer and snack on. This is the one that I'm not sure if it will last. If you take it to work, it may, go back into a yogurt form, but this is something more you'll just have on the spot in the house. But really great recipe, and I absolutely love it. The next recipe I've got for you guys is these avocado brownies. So you're going to need some peanut butter and some cacao powder. You can just get that from your normal supermarket. Some baking powder, vanilla flavoring. This one's sugar-free, which is good. Also 2 eggs, 1 whole avocado, some salt, almond meal. If you can't find almond meal in the packet, you can just blend up some almonds, some sugar-free chocolate chips, and that is all. So you're going to start off by cutting up your avocado and just putting the whole thing in the bowl besides the seed, of course. And so you want to mash this up so it's pretty smooth and there's no avocado chunks, because you don't want to have a avocado chunk in your brownie. So just mash it up as best as you can with a fork. It may take a bit of time, but try and get your avocado as ripe as possible, so pretty soft. Just makes it easier for you during this recipe. And so as I said before, this is just acting as a healthy fat that combines all of the ingredients together and gives it moisture. And then you want to go ahead and add in your 2 eggs. And then you're going to add half of a cup of cacao powder. And you're also going to want to add in some vanilla syrup and 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a dash of salt to help activate it, and also I think it was 2 or 3 teaspoons of peanut butter. You can also use almond butter or any sort of nut butter, really, whatever your preference is. And I also added in 1/3 of a cup of almond flour. And lastly, you're going to want to add in 1/2 of a cup of chocolate chips. Now, when I was filming this, I forgot to add in the sweetener, which was supposed to be 1/2 a cup of rice malt syrup. So once I put this in the pan, I realized that, so I had to take it out and remix it all together. But yeah, don't forget to add in your sweetener, 1/2 a cup of rice malt syrup, maple syrup or stevia, any sort of sweetener of your choice. So then you want to mix everything together really well, make sure it's all combined, and make sure that you can't see any avocado. It doesn't matter if you can see a little bit, because it will most likely it won't be there once it's baked, like you won't be able to see it. But yeah, just combine everything together, make sure that it's really well mixed, and then put it into a lined baking tray or tin. Spread this out so it was about 2 or 3 centimeters deep, and just tried to make it as flat as possible. You can make it thicker or thinner, really up to you and your preference. And then I also added in some chocolate chips on top as well, just to give it that extra little bit of something, a little bit more chocolatey. And then I put that in the oven on 180 degrees Celsius for about half an hour. But just keep an eye on it and make sure it's like nice and crispy when you take it out, so it's not raw on the inside. And then I cut it up into some small slices. And you can serve this just by itself, put it in a container, take it with you to work or school. You can serve it with some yogurt or healthy ice cream, up to you. But it's such a good recipe and really healthy as well, because there's no refined sugar or anything like that added to it. So definitely give this recipe a try. It is really good. Next up, we're going to be making some healthy chocolate chip muffins, and these are probably one of my favorite things to make. You're going to need some almond meal again, some other flour of your choice. I just have some gluten-free self-raising flour, some cacao powder, sugar-free chocolate chips, 2.5 bananas, some bicarb soda and baking powder, vanilla syrup or essence, some rice malt syrup or another sweetener of choice, some almond milk, and that is it. So you're going to start off by adding the 2 bananas and a half into a bowl and mashing that up so the recipe will be nice and smooth. You don't want to have too many clunks in there of banana, so just try and mash it up as best as you can. And then you need to add 1.5 cups of self-raising flour of your choice. So I use a gluten-free one. You can use buckwheat flour or anything like that. And then you also want to add in 1/2 cup of almond meal and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and also a teaspoon of bicarb soda, a sprinkle of salt, 2 teaspoons of cacao powder, and a dash of vanilla syrup, and also 1 cup of almond milk. You could also use oat milk as well. And then I also added in about 2 teaspoons of rice malt syrup, and then I just combined that all together and just make sure everything's mixed and the mixture is nice and smooth. Then I sprinkled in some of them vegan chocolate chips again, and yeah, that is optional as well, but I just find it's a nice little touch. And then I used my Kmart baking scoop thing to put them into the muffin tins. So I tried to fill them up as high as I could, so I managed to get 6 large muffins out of this mixture. Yeah, then you want to put them in the oven on 180 degrees for about half an hour, 25 minutes. Just keep an eye on them and then let them cool for a couple of minutes. And there you go. These are a really good recipe. I do store these in the freezer and then I put them in the microwave when I want to have one, but they are so good and tasty. Our last recipe for today is some protein balls. So you want to start off by soaking a cup of pitted dates in some boiling hot water. This helps make them easier to blend and softens them up a bit. And then you want to strain the water out after 10 minutes and add in 3 heaped tablespoons of almond flour. Then also 1 or 2 teaspoons of cacao powder, just depending on how rich you want it. And then also about half a cup of macadamia nuts and a sprinkle of coconut. Then you can also add in some protein powder of your choice. I use Botanika blends, it's my absolute all-time favorite. And I also added in just a small teaspoon of rice malt syrup just to make it extra sweet. And I forgot to mention, I also added in some peanut butter. And then you want to blend this up. I would recommend using a food processor if you have one, but I don't have one, so I just use my normal blender. It is a serious process and a half. It does take a bit of time, and you want to take the lid off, mix it around and keep blending, but you want to make sure the texture is nice and smooth so that everything is combined well and it has like a good balanced taste. And then once it's all combined, I put in some coconut in a bowl and then rolled them up into balls, coated them in coconut, and then put them on a plate. If you don't want to use coconut or it's not really a thing, you could use chia seeds, you could use raw cacao powder, or just leave them plain as they are. So I managed to get quite a lot of balls out of this mixture, and these are really good to store in the fridge, and you can take them to work really easily or school, and they're just so tasty and versatile, and again, another good way to use up some leftover ingredients you have in the house. So that wraps up all of the cooking for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know if you try any of the recipes. I would be super keen to see how you found them. But if you guys have any more video requests for 2022, leave a comment below because I'm always down to new ideas. Yeah, and if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video.